All right, let's talk about Go. Specifically, a really slick pattern that can totally change how you build your web servers. You know that feeling when you're buried under a mountain of middleware functions? Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you're going to want to stick around for this.
Look, it's a classic problem, right? Every single Go developer runs into this. You start out simple, maybe one or two middleware functions, and everything's great. But then, your app grows, and that simple setup turns into this tangled, nested mess. So the big question is, how do you manage all that without losing your mind? Okay, so before we jump into the really cool solution, let's just take a quick step back and make sure we're all on the same page. We need to nail down what middleware actually is so we can pinpoint exactly where that messiness comes from. So at its core, middleware is basically just a wrapper. That's it. Think of it like a gatekeeper. It sits between the incoming request and your main handler, and it gets to do something first. You know, stuff like logging who's calling, checking for authentication, adding some headers, and then it just passes the request along. And when you've only got one piece of middleware, the whole thing is just beautiful. A request comes in, the middleware does its job, and then it hands off control to the handler it's wrapping. It's clean, it's simple, it's effective. But yeah, notice I said, for now. Because this is where the trouble starts. You've got your logging middleware, then you need an auth middleware. Oh, and don't forget a CORS middleware. Pretty soon, your code starts to look like this, log auth CORS my handler. People call it the pyramid of doom for a reason. It gets super hard to read and even harder to maintain, like really fast. So what's the fix? How do we escape this pyramid? Well, let's dive into an awesome pattern that takes all that nested complexity and just flattens it out completely. And you know what? The whole solution comes down to one super simple idea. Instead of just writing a bunch of separate functions, we're going to define a new, formal type for what middleware is. This right here, this is where the magic happens.
And boom, there it is. Seriously, don't let its simplicity fool you. This one line of code is the absolute key to everything. We're just creating a new type, we're calling it middleware, and it's an alias for the exact signature of a middleware function. It's a function that takes a handler and spits back out a handler.
Okay, so what's the big deal? Why does this matter? Well, first off, it standardizes the whole shebang. Every piece of middleware we write from now on is going to have the exact same shape. And that means we can start treating them like Lego bricks. They're all interchangeable, they all fit together, and most importantly, they're composable. This sets the stage for a way cleaner setup. All right, and this is where we get the big aha moment. This is where the pattern really starts to pay off. See, once you have this common type, you can build a little helper function that just takes a list or a chain of your middleware and applies them one after another. It's so clean. I mean, just look at the difference here. It is absolutely night and day. On the left, you've got that ugly, nested pyramid we talked about, and on the right, a simple, flat, readable list. The crazy part is, the logic is exactly the same, but the organization, it's a different world. You can see the order of execution instantly.
And that's really the whole point. Just like the source material says, the goal is to make it easier to chain multiple middlewares together. It's about taking something you have to do, apply a bunch of middleware, and making the code for it beautiful and just easy to understand.
And it all boils down to this. One single type definition.
So let's really hammer this home and talk about why this matters so much. Because this isn't just some clever little coding trick. That one type definition we talked about, it unlocks this entire pattern. It's a tiny change, but it has a huge impact on how you write professional, production-ready Go.
And the benefits are just so obvious, right? First, your code is way cleaner and easier to read. Second, need to add a new middleware? Just drop it in the list. Need to change the order they run in? Just move a line up or down. It's that simple. This is what scalable, professional API design actually looks like in practice.
Now, we've got to give credit where credit is due. This whole idea was really inspired by and popularized in a talk from Matt Ryer about building APIs. Seriously, if this stuff interests you and you want to go deeper, you should absolutely check it out. It's a goldmine for anyone building APIs in Go.
So if you take away just one thing today, let it be this. It's a mental shift. Stop thinking about middleware as these nested Russian dolls. Instead, think of them as strong, connectable links in a chain. A clean, ordered chain of operations that every single request is going to pass through.
This pattern is a total game changer, for sure. But it's just one tool in the toolbox. So I want to leave you with a question to chew on. What other Go patterns have totally transformed the way you write code? It's something to think about as you keep pushing your skills to the next level.